Hi, responding to Tattoo Skin 72, rambling about sex. This isn't pornography, but I think the subject matter may get blunt, so if this sort of thing offends you, please move on. Um, I'm going to take a very complicated, nuanced issue of monogamy, polyamory, etc., and simplify it to a possibly an offensive degree. If a couple wants to be monogamous, be monogamous. If not, don't be. And I don't think people's sexual orientation or gender orientation or anything should necessitate that somebody be open, or that the relationship be open, or that they necessarily have fetishes or anything like that. Um, you are right, Tattoo Skin, in that there are a number of stereotypes involving the GBLT community, one of which is that we cannot carry on in monogamous relationships, especially people like myself who are, well, now I've described myself as pansexual. I'm attracted to men, women, everything in between. But bisexuals, pansexuals, people who are of different gender orientations get it real bad as far as being stereotyped as people who cannot be monogamous, as well as people who are just, kinky to the nth degree and will essentially just jump on anything and live by compulsion rather than having loving, healthy relationships. And even people who just want to fuck, if you'll excuse the language, I don't judge them, just as long as they're being honest with one another. And if that's what makes them happy, that's what makes them happy. It won't make me happy. Therefore, that's not what I do. Now, it gets complicated when a person is actually in a relationship and one person wants to be open and another person wants to um, live in a closed relationship. And I don't like the word closed because it implies that the people are in the relationship are somehow regressive, closed-minded, bad people. Um, but I say closed as in a closed system. Yeah, hand motions over here. Um, and um, I'm hesitating because my mom's in the house, and I guess I should have shut the door before I started this. And it's weird if my mom would be listening to this. But anyway, I'm already a few minutes in. I'm not going to start again. Like you, I prefer monogamy, and I do have an emotional attachment to sex. With me, it is not just sex. Um, Now, however, if there was a situation where my partner wanted to try a threesome or also loved someone else, if my partner came to me and the person was not a train wreck and I knew them well enough and we all sat down and talked about whatever the issue was, I would actually be pretty open to it because that involves specific people. Um, is in there, it's not one ism or one ology or one whatever versus another ism. It's people talking about how they feel, what they want, what they don't want, perhaps what they fear. Um, could I get jealous? Oh, yeah, definitely. Um, Now, one thing I do want to note in your video, now I didn't see the other video that you were responding to, but um, you do seem to have this idea that because normal people think this about gay people, therefore gay people should conform to what normal people think is right. Well, even then, I think you're, how do I say this? It's like you're not doing really what you want so much as you're conforming to, not conforming to a stereotype. What's the word I'm looking for? Instead of being who you want to be and having the relationship you want, you're trying to have the relationship that other people want for a particular cause. This isn't this, I'm not saying that you are not really monogamous. If you are, you are, and that's good. If someone is polyamorous, that's equally good, so long as everyone's being honest and, you know, we're all partners are consenting adults. And so you do bring up an interest, maybe without meaning to, you bring up an interesting aspect to all this, and that is that there are some gay people who think that the GBLT community should not attempt to be normal, because in doing so we are not being who we really are. We are not being honest with ourselves. And so they are very much for, you know, walking down the street in full drag and having all kinds of freaky relationships, if that's what a person wants to do. And they would be more in support of the situations where gay people go into churches and dance around and hand out flyers or something like that. Whereas there are other GBLT people who say, well, if we're going to look respectable to normal people, we're going to at least have to approach them in a normal way. That way we're going to communicate that we are the doctors, lawyers, you know, trash collectors, PTA members, etc. in your community, and, you know, perfectly respectable people. So that's kind of an interesting issue. You know, what's normal? Do we try to change normal, or do we try to understand normal and present ourselves that way when we deem necessary? What is going to change the perception of many, quote, normal people? So, yeah, there are a lot of interesting issues, and Det Fox, wow, I admire them for their honesty in all this, because there's tons of unusual issues, but very important issues though that most people are very, they don't want to talk about. And like I said, my mom is downstairs, and if she were to hear me, I'd feel embarrassed about it, and yet I'm talking about it on YouTube. But, you know, I got the negative. No one's going to really say, oh, I saw you on YouTube talking about sex. But, yeah, so that's why I opted for the negative, actually. Because I know I talk about weird shit, so I don't want to be recognized. Anyway, alright, well, good video, and hopefully people will respond to this and respond to you, because it's a good discussion.